Accessing library computer data.
And to make sure history never forgets the name Enterprise.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Penske Podcast. We're here. If you've never tuned in before, this is a podcast where we are watching and reviewing and talking about all 178 episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. That's right, we're going through every single episode week by week and giving our thoughts and opinions about every single one of these shows that aired, between 1987 and 1994. This week, we are up to episode 10 of season 2. It's called The Dauphin. So I tried to nail the French pronunciation there. It's the Dauphin if you're English, and it's the Dauphin if you are French. I think that's the pronunciation anyway. A little bit of a heads up, when I try to pull quotes from the episode to sort of sprinkle into these podcasts, I pull some audio from the show. I was going through this one. I had a real hard time finding any audio that I wanted to put in. So without saying anything more, that is kind of a precursor to our general take on this episode. This episode, Modi Operandus is going to stop by and talk about the show with me, and we are going to get to it right after this break.
That is how the Klingon lures a mate.
Are you telling me to go yell at Celia?
No, men do not roar. Women roar. And they hurl heavy objects and claw at you.
What does the man do?
He reads love poetry. He ducks a lot.
Worf, sounds like it works great for the Klingons, but I think I need to try something a little less dangerous.
Go to her door. Beg like a human.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that clip. We are sitting here. I'm joined by Modi Operandus. Modi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Hello.
Good to have you back. Thank you for coming on short notice for this one.
Oh, no problem.
So we are here to talk about... Why don't you give the title for this one?
The Dauphin. Dauphin.
Dauphin.
Not a dolphin.
Not Dolphin. And the Star Trek subreddit, someone made a comment of just like, I'm a Francophile. You better. They're just tongue in cheek saying like, you better get the pronunciation right. So I'm going to call it the title is the Dauphin. So that's it.
Dauphin. Dauphin. I would say Dauphin.
Dauphin. I think you say fin. I think PHIN is fin in French.
Dauphin.
Dauphin. That's it.
Dauphin. Yeah. Dauphin.
So,
sure.
Which is also incorrect because the Dauphin in this situation is a female, so it should be La Dauphine. So that's all this French trivia. So that's it for the podcast, guys. We're done.
Good night, everybody.
So what'd you think of this one?
I don't know. It was heavy on the Wesley, which is not always a good thing. He wouldn't do too bad here, actually. I don't know. The plot is interesting, but doesn't have much conflict whatsoever.
Yep.
It's a lot of internal struggles against your own, like, coming of age, I guess, is what the conflict is here, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it's...
And there isn't any external conflict whatsoever, and no resolutions. There's no choices to be made here, for the most part. So, I don't know. It's just a weird non-conflict plot.
Yeah, it's... I was thinking that it sort of shows the growth of the show in that if this was a season 1 episode, it probably would be unbearable to watch.
For sure.
It felt very season 1-y. Just the way that it brought back the old season 1 standard of the crew picks up someone that they apparently have no intelligence on and just have to transport them somewhere without Starfleet ever asking a question about what this person is or what they can do.
It has all the classic trappings of Deanna knows something's going on but doesn't know what.
Yeah, I appreciated that.
That whole thing is there. Yeah, it's classic.
They brought her back. She hadn't actually been in the episodes for a while, and they brought her back. And when they bring her back after she's been gone, only to say the most obvious these people are
Yeah,
lying
exactly.
to us thing. It's like, wow,
They need to justify her paycheck, so they need to bring her on for an episode here, apparently.
for as much
Because
as
she's a regular crew here. Yeah.
as much as I've grown to appreciate Riker and Picard from this, I've grown to realize that Deanna Troi is a fairly terrible character, at least
Yeah.
early on here.
And I never realized it the first time through watching this. I was like, always thought it was like she was fine, whatever. But now, like watching it again for the second time here, it's like every single time she's in a scene, it doesn't contribute anything to the plot whatsoever.
Yeah, and
She doesn't like know anything. She just says, "Can't be trusted." Don't know why. Can't be trusted.
and Patrick Stewart just has to act to this like grave head nod, like she's telling him something that not
yes.
everyone doesn't already know.
Emotions. I understand emotions. Yep.
Thank
That's
you,
it.
Counselor. And it's on the rewatch, like you're saying, it's really the Troy character is just getting crushed by Guinan.
Yeah. Oh man, gosh, Guinan's so good in this one.
She is. She's probably the best part of it. I wrote down two things. Oh, yeah. So the episode is not good. Just if anyone's wondering, if anyone thinks I'm beating around the bush, I don't think it's very good at all. Like I said, I thought it showed growth from season 1, and that it would be unbearable to watch if this was season 1. But
there's some likable moments in it.
There
but
is.
Overall, it's not very good.
I think that shows the growth. Like the stuff that's funny in this is designed to be funny.
Yeah, it was actually played for laughs with Worf and Data and Riker. Riker, man, that scene with Guinan and Riker, we'll talk about that, but that was pretty fun.
We will have to save that. I wanted to read you, because I agree with your summary, where it was the quote right here somewhere. Well, anyway, it was, they asked like Rob Bowman after it was done what he thought about it. And his quote was something like, it was a decent show. The script didn't have any conflict, so I figure we did as well as we could with a simple story. Which is pretty much the big problem, like you said. There's really no conflict in this show whatsoever.
Yeah. I was trying to go back and after reading that quote and thinking like, there's nothing. There's the overbearing mother.
Yep.
And there's Wesley who wants something he can't have.
Well, it feels like they were trying to play up.
Nothing.
Celia was going to not do her thing, but she never.
But didn't really get into that though.
No,
yeah.
she never.
They never really explored that.
Never doubts what she's going to do on this planet. Which,
right?
Quick plot synopsis. So the Enterprise picks up these two people who have been like training in diplomatic measures on some planet, and they're going to bring them to their home planet where they are going to sort of save the universe and end a civil war that's been going on for centuries. And Wesley falls in love with the younger one, and the older one is
not technically younger because, well, I mean, technically younger, I suppose, but
yeah,
go on. They don't actually look the way they look. Is the idea here?
Right. Yes. Exactly. And the actress is actually much older than Will Wheaton is in real life.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And she has an older woman who's her protector, and the Enterprise carries them along. Wesley falls in love with her, and that's about it. And Geordi has a weird story about fixing a computer console.
That's the B plot. Yeah, exactly. That's the B plot at the end of the thing. Like, oh, I solved that problem with off camera here.
That was
great.
What a stupid story. There were. I wrote down it felt like they were trying to give everybody a story here. It's like Worf has a little bit too much screen time. Geordi has a little bit too much screen time. There's nothing really else they could do. Oh, and I'll just get to my best parts here.
Yeah.
So I thought Guinan was really good. Guinan is quickly becoming excellent in everything she does, and the same with Chief O'Brien, who is not in this episode, but every time he comes around, it's really solid work. which
He's in for like 2 seconds in this. You don't think he has any lines here.
Oh, where is he? Does he beam them over?
He's at the transporter.
Oh,
he
that's right.
He the transporter at the very end.
That's right. You're right. Yeah, he actually does have a line. And the other part I enjoyed, just as the heterosexual male here, is when the older woman becomes the younger woman for no particular reason.
Yeah, that was weird.
And she's wearing.
Why didn't they just do that the whole time?
She's wearing what appears to be a knit jumper that has holes in some very excellent places. Yes, but it's like, why? If this script sucks, if I was a producer on this, I'd be like, this like script is bad. Like, how about we just get rid of the old woman and keep this piece of eye candy on the screen for as long as possible? It's like, it says, call me sexist or whatever, but it's like, if you're just trying to save the episode, I didn't understand why they did that in the first place. Why change her to a younger woman at all?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. If you're not gonna I guess it's to give us our first reveal that they can shapeshift, because that was the first time we saw it. And then we see the weird alien version of her.
Right, she just
after that
immediately turns into the weird E.T. sort of like fuzzy chipmunk thing, whatever it is.
But then why go back to the old woman after that? Because I guess because the Enterprise saw her that way, but like, you know, whatever.
Right.
Just be who you want to be, seriously.
Yeah, basically. Or just like if you're trying to... I guess either way, like, because, you know, the old woman is supposed to be surprising that she can, like, fight off Worf and become this fighting creature.
I suppose that's what they did that for, maybe.
I guess
But the young woman would have the same
she'd be exactly
thing.
the same, yeah. It would be like, oh, this young hottie can actually kick Worf's ass, which...
Fight Worf, yeah, exactly.
which I don't know, I would have rather have stuck with that girl who I think is on Twin Peaks. And she's been in a couple of other things, so... And she wasn't a bad actress. It's not like she was just stuck in there for no reason.
I can't think of anything wrong with her scene. She could have done the whole... The old woman was obviously more creepy.
Yes.
And strange, and she had a very strange voice that sounded exactly like the alien should sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she looked like she was always sucking on a lemon, too. She always had, like, this
and her eyes were always bug-eyed, and it was weird.
Rounded off in her hat. And what the hell was the other... Oh, I guess the attractive girl who was wearing the weird wool jumper was actually the runner-up to play Celia. So they they gave her that role as a bone, I guess. Yeah, well, who'd have thought? But, I mean, it's just kind of... It's weird stuff like that. And this episode is just filled with it.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Would you particularly enjoy anything?
Oh, I loved the... my favorite scene was with Riker giving dating advice. Well, the whole thing with Wesley going to get advice from Worf first was like, why would you go to anybody except Riker, first of all, here?
I know.
But he goes to Worf and Data first.
He must have been occupied. He must have been busy at the time. You know, Wesley went into the bridge to talk to Riker, and Worf interrupts him. I felt like
Worf's explanation of love is very entertaining, actually.
It is. It's funny.
He plays it very well. Yeah, it's funny.
And I really felt like Worf took a giant step forward here in terms of like the amount of character that he actually shows.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, with Wesley, and then when he becomes to respect the old woman,
it's kind of ridiculous the scene with him and the old woman, like talking about who would kick whose ass, kind of thing. She's like, I could kick your ass. He's like, no, you wouldn't. I was distracted.
But I mean, she can. I guess she can become anything. So she could just become something. She could become an elephant
80
and just
feet
step
tall.
on
Yeah,
him.
exactly.
Yeah, just be like, that's enough for you. I also I appreciated that after their initial fight in sickbay, when she morphed back, Worf was not above going to smack the old woman down too.
I know. He's like, he changed back, dude. Relax.
I'll be with you in a moment.
What's wrong with him?
Andronesian encephalitis.
That disease is contagious.
Very unlikely. Our air filtering system can handle.
But there is a chance.
If you mean mathematically, yes, the probability is not zero.
I cannot rely on your primitive technologies. Kill the patient.
What?
Destroy the patient. Immediately.
Now you calm down.
If you won't take action, then I will.
Still gonna hit her. That was so great.
And
I wonder if there was some weird like thing where they like cut it differently, because they had to do the whole like they went for the special effect to work. They would have had her like had a shot with her standing out and her standing in.
Yes.
And they just used a shot when she was still transformed, and he just did the wrong action.
Yeah.
And they still cut around it. Maybe I don't know.
Those speaking of those transformation, those alien costumes were terrible. They were some of the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah. That was pretty terrible.
And according to the book that I bought, the Star Trek Companion that I was reading, Rob Bowman actually tried to minimize the amount of time that they were on screen because he thought they looked horrible, which explains why when Aliyah and Anya sort of fight, they become those aliens for 2 seconds and then immediately change back.
Yeah. I mean, the aliens themselves didn't look bad, but the transformation effects was the big issue.
Oh, yeah. I thought they were just too... They were like too. It's hard to describe. They're too odd almost. You know, it's like they're too different looking. Like they're distractingly unique.
Which is supposed to be the idea, is that they're very different looking. But like, I don't know. It is distractingly like frightening kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Look to it. It's distractingly, just sort of too weird in some ways.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, the big problem here is just that really nothing is ever going to come of this plot. Wesley falls in love. there's nothing particularly unique about that.
Well, the unique thing is that as soon as he finds out she's not actually hot, he kind of gets over her immediately.
He does, but
he's mad because he quote unquote lied to him. He's like, "Oh, she doesn't actually look that way, Wesley." Now he turns into like this xenophobic jerk all of a sudden.
Well, Wesley's proven himself to be racist, and
exactly.
matter of honor, he says that all Benzites look alike, and no one seems to correct him on that. So he's basically learning his racist ways to continue through life.
Where does he get that from, Beverly? He didn't get it from his dad. I'll tell you that.
She's not actually at Starfleet Medical. She's being reconditioned or sensitivity training on Starbase 311 or something. But what the hell was I just going to say? I felt it's kind of a love stories in genre hour-long TV shows are really difficult, and it's because you can't have like a sort of continuing storyline, going, unless you're going to call this a two-parter, but there's no way in hell that I want to watch a two-parter about Wesley
no, thank you.
falling in love.
Let's not do that.
So the issue is that Wesley, it's like, I always laugh just because I know the show has to do it, but he's like, the second time he sees her, he's like, "I loved you." And it's like, okay, I understand you've got to hurry through the show.
Right.
And then when she leaves,
he's also like, young, though. He can make mistakes because you can play it off because he's like the first time in love and that kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
You jump to conclusions and that kind of thing.
Yep. And then
it felt a little genuine there to me, but it was still played terrible. That he didn't like get that she couldn't stay. Like he just kept saying things.
Right.
That like, oh, you're gonna see the world. Oh, you can see the universe. You can go there someday. Like just making her feel like crap the whole time.
Yeah, I guess my feeling is that there was no thread through any of this. Like, Picard calls him into his office and he gives him the speech like he can't see her because she's going to save the free world on this planet or whatever.
And he understands.
He understands.
He goes with it, yeah.
And then the immediate next scene is she comes in and he's like, "Hey."
Right.
And she's like, can you see me? He goes, "Yeah." And it's like, what?
Like, there's no conflict. Exactly.
Right, it's
like any conflict that could happen,
they just get rid of.
Like, yeah, it's immediately deflated as soon as it arrives.
Right. If it was properly written, he would have been like, "I can't see you." She would have been upset, and it would have had to been like some sort of reconciliation towards the end of the show.
It wouldn't have taken maybe one more line in the script to turn that to actually make sense, where he would say, "I can't. This is my job," kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then she gets upset, so he has to make a choice there at that point. But really, Wesley has no choices to make because he doesn't get a say in whether she stays or not.
No.
She doesn't get a say in whether she stays or not. She has to go, otherwise this gigantic beast thing is going to attack her if she doesn't go.
Yeah, he's like, "Listen, all I want to do is focus on my 24th century battleship game, and you refuse to leave me alone." It's just it didn't feel like, it felt like they were just throwing scenes into the order of the plot just to sort of get to the end, and nothing was really building off of each other, things were happening to them instead of them actually like having any agency of what actually happens.
Right,
here. Which has been...
There's nobody making choices to do anything.
Right, exactly. Which has sort of been our criticism of the bad early shows. All kind of had that have that in common, where the crew is sort of along for the ride while things happen.
Yeah.
It's It's something, but I mean, you definitely feel the show growing because all the Wesley scenes aren't really cringeworthy.
Right. Yeah.
I think the worst...
It can have a bad episode without anything particularly being bad about the acting this time around. Nothing being particularly... I don't know. It's not very good, but there's nothing particularly bad about it.
Right.
So that kind of shows you can have a stinker without it being terrible, kind of thing.
It's true, and it's what makes them the episodes more difficult to talk about. Like when they're atrocious, it's easier to talk about better than this just didn't work and whatever it is. I will say that the worst scene is when Wesley is infatuated and in love, and he's in engineering spraying.
Oh, that one's terrible. Yeah, that's a bad scene.
Will Wheaton is not good at physical comedy, so there's no reason to do that ever again. Show.
Let's not do that. Yeah,
I know you happened 20 years ago, show, but I'm gonna let you know right now.
Yeah, I guarantee that it probably will happen again sometime in the series. Yes.
Oh, and I just remember that scene also has his worst line reading, which is when he comes down. He goes, "That's silly, Geordi." He says,
"Oh my god!"
He says it so terribly.
It's so naive and so like simple. It's like a toddler,
and it really is. It's like, "That's silly, Daddy." It's like, okay, this is Geordi LaForge you're talking to, but It's also kind of, spoiler alert, it's also character breaking because Geordi is quite the ladies' man, or at least he seems to know what he's talking about in this one. And
sometimes.
We're going to learn later on that is not the case.
But have I ever told you that I dream of a galaxy where your eyes are the stars and that the universe worships the night? Have I ever told you that one?
Yeah.
Have I ever told you that?
That's a good point. Oh, and that just reminded me of another actually cool thing I thought about this episode. I thought it was maybe the greatest use of the holodeck.
Yeah, that was really cool.
It's like what they do is Wesley takes the Dauphin on a date. And they go to basically different random spots in the galaxy and like look at it because she can't travel. And it's actually something that is worthwhile to use the holodeck for. Not that pretending to be a detective is all that bad, but
well, that's fun too.
It's fun too, but it also makes the universe seem cooler, which I think Star Trek suffers from occasionally. You know what I mean? They don't really show you a lot of mostly because people have to be able to beam down and like stand there. But they don't show you a lot of like dramatic space vistas, which you think would be all over the place.
Right. Yeah, this was cool. They got to stand on top of an asteroid and watch the universe sing to them.
Right.
That was kind of cool.
Yep. It's a little bit of a callback to that episode we watched where Riker went to that holodeck planet where the one with Troy meets her husband, the Haven.
Oh yeah, and he's like, I want a sad sunset, please.
It's a little bit better than that.
God.
And that planet also, that planet looked like shit, and Wesley's actually looks cool.
Yeah, it did. They look actually really good now, yeah.
But I mean, I liked Guinan. Her ending scene with
she's
Wesley
really good.
Maybe saved the episode a little bit. Her thing with Riker is fantastic.
It's great too, but yeah, the scene at the end is very, very nice, actually.
Yeah, it's actually touching. The scene with Riker is pure comedy.
Yeah,
and I thought,
it's great though.
I thought Worf was really good. You know, just he's going to fight old women, and that's going to be the end of it.
And won't back down whatsoever against him. Refuses to accept that he can be beaten by anybody.
They honestly had a 5-minute conversation about protecting the ship and protecting her. That it felt absurd. It felt like the worst padded scene that I could possibly imagine.
I don't know why they had to do that, but I did enjoy the fact that he's just kind of like nuh-uh about everything.
Yeah, just nuh-uh. It's like the conversation is like, are you a protector? He's like, yes. She's like, do you protect her? He's like, no, I protect the ship. And she's like, well, if she's on the ship, it's like, what the fuck are we talking about? Someone just settle on something. It just felt like padding.
Well, he was flirting. That's what I took it as.
Oh, did you take?
He was just talking about how he was, how was his relationship with women and that kind of thing. I think he was flirting in that scene.
Oh,
actually,
that would have been a better callback if she had started throwing things at him. And
I did write that down at some point here that Worf flirts with the old woman.
He needed to. Yeah, he should have recited some poetry as she threw things and he dodged a lot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Would have made more sense. Yeah, why not? I guess there's a lot.
They could have played that up. They could have done that in this episode. It would have worked.
Well, if she's
had Worf fallen in love with the old woman, it would have been a playoff of the whole thing with Wesley falling in love with the girl.
Or maybe as a protector, she beams up as a female Klingon or something. Because there's
or just have her walk out as a Klingon at the end there,
right?
And be like, Worf just loses it.
With something very heavy in her hands to throw at him.
Yeah.
And the other one other memorable sort of thing here that I'm learning from this season 2 rewatch is that Pulaski is startlingly absent in a lot of these shows. She's here, but she only has that one scene in sickbay.
And then last episode she wasn't in it at all, I'm pretty sure, in the Measure of Man. Was she?
She goes to Data's party. And that's it. She has a line.
She would have taken the prosecutor's side there, though. Too.
Yeah,
I was thinking.
People were saying that there's an extended version of that episode on the Blu-ray discs that adds 15 minutes of stuff. I guess the party scene for Data's going away is extended, and it ends with that Maddox guy crashing the party and sort of being a dick to everybody.
That sounds great.
Which would have been awesome. I would have appreciated that. But Pulaski. And then in the episode before that, Matter of Honor, she just watches Riker eat some Klingon food. And I remember her having much more of an impact on these episodes than she actually does.
They've already gotten over her by episode 10 here. They're like, we made a mistake. We miscast this. We need to minimize damage now.
Yeah, they must have realized how poorly things were going. And I guess I was reading there was a big letter writing campaign because they've certainly dropped her. And she's not nearly as offensive anymore. which makes her
Yeah,
less...
she didn't do too bad in this episode. I didn't actually mind her in this episode.
No, she's fine.
She just had the one patient protect. She didn't try to kill him, which is great. She did her job.
She wanted to kill that guy, not let anyone else kill him.
Yeah.
He had some bizarre flu or something.
You can't execute him. I'm about to execute him.
It's just, this guy, he's got this bad case of the flu, and it'll get you sick. Does that mean that those people never get sick? Is that what I'm supposed to appreciate?
I don't know. She's just overprotective that she doesn't want the... But yeah, they're beings of pure light. They can't get sick, I'm pretty sure.
And as I'm a little...
They don't actually have lungs to infect.
No, they don't. They could just... I'd assume they could shapeshift around whatever got them sick or something, or turn it into something else. But it's... What is the... What the hell was I... Oh, it's... I was a little bit surprised that they were so surprised that they had only read about shapeshifters in textbooks.
Yeah.
I feel like there have been a lot of shapeshifters in Star Trek history.
Right.
Going back to the original series and the movies and everything. I don't know. They gave this one a fancy name. It's like an allomorph or something.
Lasomorph, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's to get around it. But I was really surprised that they were so shocked that a shapeshifter actually existed.
Yeah, maybe it's a kind of a callback because it is kind of a old. It is the shapeshifting people is kind of an old original series kind of idea.
Yep.
So maybe it's a callback. Oh, it's like, we don't have those anymore. That's old in textbook stuff. You know, that's from like 80, 90 years ago. That kind of stuff happened. Not anymore.
Yeah, maybe you know we can tie it in a little bit. Maybe that's Odo.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Honestly, I was like, oh, why is he so alone in the universe? There's people like that all over the place. Apparently,
she's a Dominion infiltrator. So yeah, but that's it. So let's see here. Anything else you wanted to really talk about this show?
No.
It's...
I liked the scene. I liked the funny scene with Riker and Guinan was probably my favorite scene in the episode. I think.
Yeah, there were a lot of lines those two exchanged.
Yeah, that was really nice. Quick lines. It was fun.
It was a ping-ponging page of dialogue.
Yeah, it was like fencing. It was fun.
It was, yeah. They haven't actually fenced a lot here, yeah? Not recently anyway. Huh. But I mean, a little bit of trivia. This is Will Wheaton's first on-screen kiss, and the actress's name is Jamie Hubbard, and she's 10 years older than Will Wheaton. So that is fantastic.
Robbing the cradle.
Yeah. And as we were saying, the Dauphin is French for dolphin, which it's also the term for...
Well, geez.
It's also a French term for heir apparent, so which makes sense in context here. I was thinking it's another weird title. I'm a big fan of good titles. I don't really like this title. And I
don't mind it.
You were also present
I think it's okay.
for, what was the other one? Silence Has Lease.
Oh.
Silence Has Lease, which is another weird episode title.
No. That's not a good title. This is better than that one is.
Yeah, it means dolphin. So it's Le Dauphin for all you Francophiles out there who love this. And one other little story. Wheaton would later say, I used to get a lot of mileage out of the joke I'd tell at conventions. The first girl that Wesley fell in love with turned out to be a shapeshifter who turned into a hideous monster, after he'd exposed his soul to her, which happened a lot to me in my personal life, and I was glad Star Trek was able to capture that parallel, end quote. I think that says a lot for the fandom of Star Trek if people are laughing at that joke, quite frankly.
Yeah. Well, they have to give, they just laugh to make him feel better kind of thing with that one.
I've never been to a convention.
It's a pity laugh.
I can't, maybe this will offend people who listen to this, but I would never go to a Star Trek convention, I don't think. That just seems like a bridge too far for me. I don't know about you.
I don't know. I don't think I could either. I mean, I haven't gone to like Comic-Con or anything like that. I'd probably do something like that before I did a Star Trek primarily convention.
Right. I mean, at least Comic-Con has like a bunch of stuff going on,
And you can just, I don't know. There's a lot more to see. I think that in case you get overwhelmed with one type of people, you go to a different type of people, maybe.
It is. I mean, because there's like board game conventions too. I would have no interest in going to a board game convention. It just seems like too strict of a focus almost, and I wouldn't appreciate that, I don't think.
I'm never going to feel this way about anyone else. You're right. I didn't expect you to say that.
There'll be others. But every time you feel love, it'll be different. Every time it's different.
That's it. The Dauphin. So I'm going to give this one a 1 out of 5 because I don't like it.
Oh, wow. Low.
Yeah, it's I think I have to sort of recalibrate my ratings. Does that make sense?
No, I do. You mentioned that last episode too when I was listening, and I kind of agree that it's tough to judge episodes in relation to each other because you give one a 5, like, well, this one's better than that one, so that one can't be a 5 anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You can't do that though. I liked your system of saying, like, you know, if recommending it to someone who doesn't watch Trek, someone who does watch Trek, and
yes,
you know, someone who's never seen Trek and that kind of thing.
So my three would be a pretty average Star Trek episode. My 4 is like one. The dividing line between a 3 and a 4 is a 4 is one that I can show to a non-Star Trek fan and not feel like embarrassed. To, you know, if they didn't get it, I would assume they just don't like Star Trek. Where 3s are episodes that Star Trek fans would probably enjoy. 2s are ones that Star Trek fans would not really enjoy, and 1s are basically ones that I don't really ever feel the need to watch again.
I would go with the 1 on that scale then too. I would watch the scene with Riker and Guinan, and watch the scene with Worf flirting with the old woman, and then I'll turn it off probably.
Yeah, that's why I'm calling this one a 1. I don't feel you ever need to watch this. I know the Den of Geek does Star Trek reviews, and they basically just call it either a watch or skip, and they call it skip.
It's a skip. Yeah, I would skip this one.
So it's a 1. It's up there. It's not the Child, which is the worst season 2 episode, but I would never feel the need to watch this one again. Nothing really happens. It doesn't add anything.
Nope.
And if you showed this to a non-Star Trek fan, I think they would just turn it off after 10 minutes.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's all there is to say about that. I don't think I have any other trivia, so that's pretty much it. So you'd also give it a 1?
I would give it a 1 on that scale as well. Yeah, I would skip this one if rewatching. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. It's directed by Rob Bowman is probably the biggest positive that I can really say about anything. And outside of that, really nothing else going here, folks. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you.
Hey, I think it was good.
Hey, thank you, Modi, for coming by and giving your opinions.
No problem. And anytime.
We'll have to, I think you'll probably be on for, if we keep up our pace, 2 more episodes of season 2.
Ooh, you're flying through them this time around on season 2 here.
Yeah.
Pick up the pace. I like it.
This is, I'll just bare my soul a little bit. I thought when I started this off, I was like, 2 is going to be a easy amount to do per week. And it is surprising how much time this takes to actually...
Yeah.
It's really just watching the episodes, I guess, is the like big time commitment. It's kind of like if you were doing... if you were like Let's Playing and you had to like play the game for 2 hours before you could record like an hour.
Well, that's kind of how it goes for me sometimes. Yeah, I spend a lot of time in pre-production for things that waste all of my time for actually doing anything. Is my problem. Yeah.
Otherwise, you just have to go back and play like your favorite, the greatest hits. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I am flying through. Season 2 seems to be going much faster than season 1, which is nice. I just got to get into
as the episodes get more watchable. It'll probably be easier for you to watch more of it at the same time too.
It really is. I think that's a big part of it. I don't sort of feel. I never felt dread, but I sort of feel competently
reluctance.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Something about seeing a bad episode on the horizon.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see that.
And just having to get through the podcast, just to be like, I got to get through it just to get to the next one.
Yeah.
So. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to be back next time with somebody else, and we'll be watching Contagion, which is the next episode, which I remember being okay. I think a ship blows up in that one, if I'm not mistaken, so that's always fun. Do you remember that one at all, Contagion?
Just a little sample. No, I can't remember it.
Okay. So it'll all be a big surprise. I'm going to keep myself pure and not spoil things for my past self or whatever the fuck I'm talking about. So, guys, if you appreciated the content and you're watching on YouTube, a comment and a like is always appreciated. If you like the content, you're listening on iTunes, a rating or review is always appreciated. It's very helpful to me. Feedback's been great so far. Everyone is leaving comments. The Star Trek viewing party Reddit is really picking up. A lot of people are tuning in there, leaving some great comments and leaving some positive feedback. It's always nice. You go through YouTube and people leave bad comments, and then you go to Reddit and people leave nice comments, and it's a nice change
just
of pace.
Nicer people. More nice people there. Yep.
We're sweet, sweet people on Reddit. But thank you guys for listening. I'll be back next time. Thank you, Modi, again.
No problem.
And see you guys later.